Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regulars and new listeners and viewers alike. This is the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And I'd like to give a hearty welcome to everyone out there, and hope everybody is doing well at this current time. It's we're actually getting to some busy stuff here, believe it or not, as Big Ben's Burner jumps on. Good evening, Mr. Burner. Yeah, I mean, free agency starts less than a week. You got pro days ramping up. We already found out a few dudes coming into Pittsburgh. And hello to George, who just jumped on with us. And yeah, please do. But I want to give a real quick shout out to a friend of ours on the show here named Dan. Dan is the owner of a little place called DC4L Custom Tees, which very gladly and quite happily on our part hosts our online store. And just in talking to Dan this week, he is starting up his own little podcast. And I think this is a pretty cool concept. If you know anything about Dan, what he does is you just send him ideas for shirts. And if it fits all the legal parameters, he'll figure out a way to make it for you. Anyway, he's going to start up. He's hoping this week his new Print the Shirt podcast. And it's going to be pretty much just some stories and stuff about the ideas that people have shared with him. Shirts that have sold, ideas that have tanked, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a neat concept. So we'll once he gets up and running,
the ideas we have.
Yeah, right. Our ideas are usually like I don't know. We're below the Mendoza line. We're like 1 for 10. You know, one good for every 9 that are awful. Anyway, so good luck to Dan as he takes on that brand new venture. Anyway, so Ian should be joining us relatively soon. Who knows what's going on with him? He's a busy man. But a lot of different things happening in the AFC North. And certainly with the Steelers and everything else. And gentlemen, real quick, a very important question that I know all of our viewers and listeners are dying to know. What are you drinking tonight, Ben? What are you enjoying on this Thursday?
Don Julio 70.
Don Julio 70. Ben and Julio down by the playground.
Yep. Good stuff.
Something like that.
And Scarps, what do you got?
I'm just water right now. I had a couple bourbons earlier. I'm switching it up. Right?
Oh,
so
all right.
So it's like a pregame, but it's like pregame until halftime, and then so this is halftime through the end of the game. Because I got an early morning tomorrow.
Oh, I see. I'm
trying to so I'm there right now, and rather than getting from here to there, I'm just here and then slowly probably getting down to here.
Shit,
but we'll see.
Apparently, I need a degree in
Nuclear
physics to understand all that.
Yeah,
not history,
body chemistry. Apparently,
body chemistry. There you go. There you go. And welcome into Joe and Jennifer as well. So the question I'm going to pose to you guys right off the bat here tonight is, all things being equal, it doesn't matter where a guy's rated. It doesn't matter where the team picks, which of course is 17 for us this year. I want to know the one guy in this draft that you just want. Okay, the one guy that you would want above all else. And welcome in Ian. And Ian, you're just in time for the very first question here.
Oh, good.
Which is just to repeat, all things being equal, it doesn't matter where you're picking. You get the one guy you want in this draft, and who would it be? And Ben dropped off a minute. I don't know what he's doing. He's playing with his dog or something.
Is that what they're calling it now?
Well,
I sorry.
I could have mentioned something about monkeys, but that
monkeys
wouldn't go over well too.
I might have had technical difficulties. Apologies.
Okay. Oh, there's Ben Stoutner. So Scarps, I'll go with you first since you've been the steady here. Who's a guy that you just absolutely feel like would be your guy right now?
Man, I know he's had run into some legal issues, but it's hard to not like Jalen Carter.
Yeah, that's mine too.
And I've seen some scenarios where perhaps he falls to 17, and let's just be real. There's not a lot going on right now, so that means there's extra time for for a lack of a better term, I'll call it fuckery. So there's just a lot of conversations out there. But yeah, if I had the number 1 overall pick, I would take Jalen Carter.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot pending legally, but
sure.
I mean, to me, that's just the type of talent, and generational talent. I don't like you overusing that. I think that is very overused, and but that guy just seems like he's really good. And the Steelers absolutely need help on the defensive line. Cam Hayward's not going to be around forever.
No.
Tyson Alualu, bless him, but hopefully he's looking for.
I think he's done.
Another job. Next week and so and who knows how free agency is going to shape out with Larry Ogunjobi and others. So yeah, Jalen Carter is my guy.
Carter would be an upgrade over Larry. I mean, Larry's a good player, but Jalen Carter and Cam Hayward together would be an absolute nightmare for offenses.
You said that would be your guy too.
That would be my guy too for all the reasons that Scarps has already gone with. But if I had to go with a 1A, it would probably be Christian Gonzalez because he, the guy just has the niftiest footwork. I've seen corner prospect in a long, long time, and I'm enamored greatly.
Yeah.
If he's there at 17 and they don't take him, I will be apoplectic. But he's not going to be at 17. He's not
Agree.
Probably top 5, top 10.
If he's still there after 10, I'd be stunned.
Me too. He's just that good. It's
agree.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. Ian, who would be your guy?
I've been watching some of the tackles in this draft, and I feel like there's 3 tackles that are pretty good first-round tackles, but I have no idea how to order them. Between Jones from Georgia, the kid from Ohio State, and the kid from Northwestern, Johnson from Ohio State, and Skoronski from Northwestern. If you made me pick one, yeah. It's hard to say who my one guy would be out of that group. A true left tackle to protect Pickett's blind side, though, would be really, really hard to pass up if I could have one wish from this draft. So, but I don't know which one I would take because they all have really good things that they do. And really good upside to them. So I feel like any of the 3 I'd be pretty darn happy with. I do like Gonzalez. I feel like the sneaky pick that we talked about a little bit last week is Branch, the safety from Alabama, that he'd be pretty damn good next to Minka. I'd be pretty happy with him.
I was going to bring him up in a minute. The fascinating thing to me about those tackles is if you look at Skoronski, there's talk because he doesn't really have the length that's desired by NFL teams these days. There's talk that he could kick down to guard, and I know 1 or 2 teams even asked him about center. Because he is pretty athletic and very, very fundamentally sound, which would be pretty incredible in my book to go that long in your football career, and then all of a sudden, hey, we want you to play center. So he fascinates me. Johnson, Ohio State, and Jones, and of course DeJuan Jones, the large mountain of a human being on the other side for Ohio State. My goodness, a human being that weighs 360 pounds should not be able to move that way. But he does.
Right.
And
he reminds me like of a more athletic, who was that guy from Minnesota, Filele last year?
Yes.
That I think he went in like the 3rd or 4th round, but he was just gigantic. Yeah.
I mean, the mitts on DeJuan Jones. I mean, when you see him like in his 2-point stance, getting ready to go into pass pro, I mean, he's got his hands on his knees. They're just massive hands. And of course, he's a big dude. But I was Gonzalez. I'm just really fascinated by him. I think he's just wicked good on the corner. I think he brings in a little bit of everything that you want, even though I have tremendous trepidation about taking a corner in the first round. Because as most of us know, the Steelers have not been great at that, but that would be my guy. So the Brian Branch thing is interesting because he did not have a real good combine.
But he's got great tape.
His tape is amazing. And
where DeJuan Jones, you mentioned before, his tape is good because he's so massive and he's difficult to get around.
Right.
But his lateral quickness is not great.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. His straight line speed's good.
Well,
for a man that big, it's very good. But his lateral quickness, I don't know.
No, I don't either. And even Paris Campbell, if you go back and watch, he got run over by a freshman pass rusher in the Georgia game. I'm not saying that's a bad thing per se, because it's Georgia and they got
a technique
athletes.
thing,
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically he made a technical mistake, and boom, your balance is gone. You're done.
Ian, would you view Brian Branch as a luxury pick if they took him at 17?
Well, it depends on what happens in free agency because 2 of our top 3 safeties are free agents right now.
Right.
If you're not able to bring back Terrell Edmonds or DeMonte KZ, then your 2 safeties right now would be Minka Fitzpatrick and Trey Norwood.
Yep.
And, so no, then it becomes a necessity. But you need a starter there. I think a lot of people are kind of assuming that we're going to be able to bring one of those 2 guys back, but that's not a guarantee as we head into free agency here. So, no, it's not a luxury pick, but someone of that talent would absolutely be a luxury to have on the team. And to Ben's point about not great combine, but really damn good tape. Who else had a not great combine, but really damn good tape was Kyle Hamilton, who fell all the way to the middle of the first round last year before the stupid-ass Ravens took him.
He started slowly, but I think they were very pleased with his improvement throughout the season. So,
yeah.
I mean, he started a typical rookie season. I mean, Troy Polamalu had a bad rookie season.
Oh, that's for sure.
And safeties aren't a top commodity that people go after in the draft. Like usually the top 3 tackles are all gone in the top 10. Top 3 edge rushers are gone in the top 12. Top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in a year that isn't 2022 is usually gone in the top 5. So those are the things that people target early. Cornerbacks usually go early, but safeties, guards, those other positions usually fall a little bit, and sitting there at 17 might have an opportunity. We've talked about this before, right? Like if you're looking at, are we going to pick the 4th best offensive tackle, the 4th best cornerback, or the best safety in the draft? Like you might want to take the best safety in the draft.
Yeah. I think that's well said.
Okay, but I mean, you make that argument and you say take the best center in the draft, and the best center in the draft really is a 2nd-round pick by grade. Do you take him because he's the best at his position? No, but Brian Branch is deserving of a 1st-round grade. So I'm not just going to throw that out there as a principle to take the best player at their position if that best player is not necessarily a guy you should be taking in the 1st round. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and a lot of that obviously will be factored in by where they have these guys rated. How Andy Weidel, who allegedly is doing most of the board, how he has it set up. But Scarps, is there one particular guy that you absolutely, positively do not want drafted in the 1st round?
Oh, here we go.
Well, a friend of mine, Casey Kasem, is going to actually touch on this later. Because about 15 minutes ago, I'm starting. That's the other thing. I'm doing Casey like on the fly because I feel a little bit better.
Last week's was very good on the fly.
It was pretty damn good.
Yeah. please God, do not let them draft Joey Porter Jr. at 17. It is, I know the joke is nepotism in the buddy system or whatever, but I'm sorry, but that is just would be a very strange pick to me. I'm not saying the kid doesn't have talent. I think he does. I do have my doubts about him. I think he is right now. He's a walking pass interference penalty. He's very grabby. Of course, he's a freak athlete. Doesn't mean he can't be coached and taught. Okay. But they don't have a good record of drafting and developing corners in the first round.
Agreed.
And I mean. It would. I mean, I hate to say this. I know Joey Porter. Joey Porter's a good dude, very good to me. I'm grateful for obviously working with him, but obviously grateful for him getting shot in Denver and surviving that.
But, I was waiting for that line to come out at some point.
But that relationship did not end well. As you remember, he was arrested right after the Miami Dolphins playoff win at home in the 2016 postseason, and then he wasn't retained. Was it 2 or 3? Whatever. Like, at what point are you kind of like, I kind of want to avoid this, like, because I mean, are we going to act like, so if Joey Porter Jr. gets drafted, are we going to act like Joey Porter Sr. is not going to be hanging out?
Right. Like, it's a package deal.
I mean, what are we doing here? So like, I feel like at some point, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but like I feel like that's what I would want Art to be like. You know what? Let's not do this. Okay. But I don't know.
All right, Ben, who's the one guy you absolutely positively would not want the Steelers to draft? Of those guys that we would think they might draft, but
Porter is definitely a choice, but it has more to do with the fact that I don't love the player.
Right.
But, since we're talking about the buddy system and, nepotism and whatnot, what if they took Banks from Maryland, who Tomlin has some familiarity with?
Mm-hmm.
I know this doesn't really answer the question the way that you wanted it, but
right.
I would like them to, not take Joey Porter because I don't like him as a player that much. I'm sorry. I know people are really enamored with him, but they're seeing a name, in my opinion.
Yes, you have to get past the name.
I don't get the hype. I mean, he's got some potential to be a good player, maybe in the right system.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I see a guy who's way too grabby.
Yep.
He uses contact to maintain distance and to keep track of the receiver. And in the NFL, you can't get away with that shit. You just can't. Yes, he's got long arms. He's got the right frame. He's got nice speed. But Banks has got really nice footwork. I mean, really nice.
Dude is an athlete.
That's the kind of guy that you want covering those good route runners.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't just straight line speed. It's lateral quickness. It's the fact that, he can change direction quickly and not lose speed, open his hips up and move.
So are you saying that also Porter's the guy you would not want? And because you sound like you like Banks out of Maryland here.
I like him a lot better than Porter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd put Joey Porter about, I don't know, 5th best, 6th best corner in this draft.
Yeah.
People are talking about him like he's one of the top 3 and the top 3 interchangeable. No, he's not.
I agree with you. I for all the points that you made, I agree. I think the kid out of Illinois, Witherspoon, has some real potential.
Nice. Yeah.
And
better than our current Witherspoon.
Yes, I would definitely swap out that one for this one. Ian, who's a guy you absolutely positively do not want the Steelers to draft?
Well, since no one else did it, I will. Jordan Addison.
There it is.
All right, I would have said that if not.
I knew it was Porter or Addison was going to come up.
Here's a guy that read Casey's before the show started.
Here's a guy that's ruining the boners of Steelers Twitter.
Addison,
all right, here's what
do you want to take a 5'10", 173-pound slot wide receiver as your top pick in the draft?
Here's what I'll say too. It's similar to what I said for Kenny Pickett. If you we want to go back, to last year's shows before the draft.
Right.
The reason I didn't want Kenny Pickett is not because I hated the player, but because I never thought he was going to get a fair shot in Pittsburgh of people being able to objectively analyze his game. And we saw that play out because there's a large contingent of people that are Steelers fans that also think that anything that comes out of the University of Pittsburgh shit's gold. And we saw those people come out, this year when Pickett struggled and, it was, no, Kenny's great. It's everybody else's fault. And that was, and what's going to happen if we draft Jordan Addison is it's going to be like, oh, we got Pickett's college receiver. Now it's going to be Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase all over again.
It's not.
It's not.
Jordan Addison is not nearly as talented as Jamar Chase. It's not even close.
Exactly. But that's going to be everybody's expectation.
Together at Pitt.
Yeah, magical. I know. I've heard all these arguments. It'll be magical, blah, blah, Hall of Fame.
So
it's bullshit.
Honestly, if we picked Jordan Addison at 32, I wouldn't hate it. If we picked him at 17, I would.
I'd fucking hate it at 32, to be honest with you, because we just need more help in other places.
That's where I'm at.
If you want a guy that can operate out of the slot, even though he probably won't make it to 17, the kid from Ohio State, Smith and Jigba, is like, did you see his agility drills at the combine?
Insane.
Holy crap. Yeah. You want a guy who can run any route out of the slot and operate in a phone booth. That's your guy, not Jordan Addison.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But he won't be there. His brother plays for the Pirates, though, if you want to talk about nepotism.
Well, a little downriver nepotism, or is it upriver?
Yeah, they're next door to each other.
Yeah, next door. Okay.
Neighbors.
Neighbors. Speaking of Kenny Pickett, Ian, you brought this up this week, and I thought this was really good because, so many people last year were bitching, screaming, everything. It's the 23 draft is going to be loaded with quarterbacks. We got to wait.
People say that every year.
Well, absolutely.
It's always next year is going to be loaded.
Right. So fine.
Well, this is pretty well loaded.
So fine. Go ahead and assume Kenny Pickett was not drafted last year. He's in this year's draft.
Oh.
Ian, you asked the question. So where would Kenny Pickett go in comparison to these other eligible quarterbacks this year?
Right after Stetson Bennett. Just kidding.
Oh,
no. I think he'd go about the same place he went last year, which is like mid to late first round. Okay. It's just this year there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are better than him. There's 3 in my book. I don't like Will Levis personally. I don't think he shows up in big games. He's got a big arm, but doesn't have a lot else. Like, honestly, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Paxton Lynch, that like everybody got enamored with his arm. Now, granted, Artie Burns wasn't a good pick, or didn't pan out, I should say.
Right.
But I remember people like sitting there in Heinz Field, people being like, we should have taken that quarterback from Memphis with the big arm instead of this cornerback from Miami who sucks. And I was like, Paxton Lynch is horrible. Like, all he had was a big arm. We picked him up as an undrafted free. Paxton Lynch couldn't beat Duck Hodges out for a starting spot. He couldn't even get a helmet, right? I don't know. What was
the dubious note about Paxton Lynch? He's now been cut.
He's the only quarterback who's been benched during an NFL game, an XFL game, and a USFL game.
Yeah.
The only quarterback that's ever achieved that, been benched mid-game in all 3 leagues.
So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I think he'd probably wind up going around 20 where we took him last year. Just there's 3. I think 3 quarterbacks better than him in this draft.
So you're looking at Stroud, Young,
and probably Richardson.
Just
Richardson has got great.
The ceiling is amazing.
Yeah, the ceiling is incredible.
Yeah,
but it's a lot like Malik Willis last year, where you're looking at this guy. Okay, he's better than Willis.
Yeah,
but you're looking at this guy who's got all this raw ability, but not a lot of polish yet. You strictly looking at that guy based upon potential, which is
what's he? He's only played like 14, 15 games. I think in college.
But great athlete. So, Worst case, what do? You move into wide receiver.
I wouldn't be shocked to see Seattle take a flyer on him at 5.
Really?
I mean, they just took Geno Smith, or they just signed Geno Smith to what's functionally a 2-year deal. I mean, they can basically get rid of him after 2.
Yeah, right. If they need to.
And like we said, Richardson is raw, but talent and upside like that doesn't come around super often. And for a Seattle team that hasn't picked in the top 10, I think it might have been Pete Carroll or John Schneider. One of those guys said like, "Oh yeah, and it could have been a smokescreen too," and all that. But they were like, "Oh yeah, we're very much paying attention to how this quarterback class plays out."
Geno's 31, 32,
right. And Carroll only has a couple years left anyways. I mean, he's an old guy. So you figure if they want to set things up for whoever his successor is, you take Richardson, you let him sit for a year or two behind Geno, and then you bring him in, and you've been able to develop him. Mahomes sat for a year, for crying out loud.
Drew Lock's actually, I think, half a decent quarterback.
Locke has a big arm, but it's inaccurate. I think.
And I'm not a Drew Lock fan.
Pete Carroll is a lot like Mike Tomlin in that he hates turnovers. And so I think part of the reason why Geno Smith won that job was he was like, Geno's not going to turn the ball over. Yeah.
He played well.
He did.
The first half stats were great. He tailed off a little bit in the second half of the season.
But he led the NFC in completion percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, he did well. There's more to the game than just completing passes, but the guy played pretty well.
I have to throw that on there. Burner coming strong at Scarps.
Are you fucking kidding me?
All right. So
Drew Lock is better than Kenny Pickett right now.
No, he's not.
Come on, fuck out of here.
Come on.
So I answered my own question
too.
about where Pickett would go in this draft.
Too.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on this one?
I'm pretty much in agreement, Ian. I would have said in the 20 to 25 range, with the only exception being instead of being the first quarterback off the board at 20 to 25, you would have been the third or the fourth. Mm-hmm. We know that quarterbacks are in demand in this league, and I don't have any doubt in my mind somebody is going to trade up. Maybe even 2 or 3 teams will trade up to get quarterbacks. It's just how it works. And
yeah, they will for sure. Pickett's 24 last year, right?
Yes.
So his age is going to figure into that as well.
74.
He definitely would have been like at least the 4th quarterback off the board in this draft class.
Yeah.
Potentially 5th, but at least 4th.
I think this is going to be a crazy draft up in the top.
I really was kidding though about Stetson Bennett. I did not mean that. He's better than that.
It would be pretty darn hilarious if Baltimore drafts Stetson Bennett.
It'd be awesome, but they're not going to. They draft pretty early, don't they?
No, not in the first. Like in like the 7th round, they take Stetson Bennett, and then Lamar's like, "Fuck you guys, I'm not coming back," and they have to wind up starting.
Well, okay, so let me get through this first, and then we'll talk Lamar, because I'm kind of fascinated by this. Just a reminder, guys, we are part of the Pigskin Podcast Network, and very, very proud to be associated with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Make your first deposit. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Check it out. I'm telling you, if you got a few dollars in your pocket, spend it there. It's not a bad place to do it. What is the strategy, Ryan Scarpino, that the Ravens are using by putting the non-exclusive tag on Lamar Jackson? What's going on here? Your opinion.
Strategery. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Be prudent.
My opinion, I got a variety of opinions on this, but I think that the Baltimore Ravens are very smart, and I don't want to say that, but they're very smart for what they're doing. We talk about these quarterback contracts on the show a lot, and I think the Ravens are understanding that Lamar is an exceptional talent. He's a former MVP, but at the same time, he has not been healthy the past 2 seasons.
How much of that has been, my contract's expiring and I'm not going to play?
Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. So as much as I support the Ravens with their decision because they're doing the right thing, I also support Lamar. I think Lamar's doing the right thing. You see all these contracts, of course, you want to get the most money possible. However, I do want to say one thing is that he fucked up because he does not have an agent, and I understand.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I understand that. We were all young once, and we all thought we knew everything, and obviously we weren't top tier NFL quarterback talent, but we all thought we knew everything, and we didn't want to listen to anybody else, and we were going to make it on our own. But there are times in life when you need to talk to a professional and seek consultation, yada yada yada, and this is one of them. So for the Ravens, they just got rid of Greg Roman. They got Todd Monken. Who's obviously a different type of coordinator. But I'll tell you this, you have to build an offense around Lamar Jackson. That's how you have to do it. And he is a good passer. I'm not taking anything away from him. Of course he has his flaws, but you know what? The Ravens are looking at this like, you know what? Either let somebody else overpay for this guy and we'll take 2 first-round picks. And I have no problem with that. I think it's smart.
Maybe. I think they're looking at it from the standpoint that worst case they get 2 first-round picks, but it's more along the lines of this. Lamar thinks that if he hits the open market, he can get that 250, 260, 275 fully guaranteed for 5 years. And they're basically calling his bluff. They're going, okay, tell you what. We've got right of first refusal. We're fine with that. If somebody comes along and they offer you more than we want to pay, we're going to be pretty well compensated. We know we're taking a risk, but it's okay. But why don't you go out and see what you're really worth? Why don't you go out and see what somebody's really willing to pay? And if they negotiate a deal that you're happy with and we feel comfortable matching it, we'll match it. And if we don't feel comfortable doing so, we'll take the 2 first-round picks. And, we've been doing this dance with you now for 2 years, and it's not going anyplace, obviously. So at this point, why don't we just give you the opportunity to go out there and see what's really there? See what you can really get. And, hopefully you'll be happy with that offer and you'll sign an offer letter with somebody, and we'll, best case, we'll thank them for negotiating a deal for us and we'll match it. Term for term.
That's a good point about let them do the negotiations and we can just walk in and match it and be done with it.
Yeah, maybe you go out in the market and you find out this is the best you can do. This is the best you're going to get. And that being the case, you go ahead and you sign an offer letter and we go, okay, yeah, we think that's a fair deal. We want to sign it too.
Ian, do you think there was something to the fact that those 5 teams or so quickly came out and said, yeah, we're not interested, literally within the hour after the Ravens announced they were going to tag him? I mean, I guess what I'm getting at here is there is talk of collusion because the owners are so pissed off at Haslam for the guaranteed deal he gave to Watson that they're trying very, very hard to not go down that road again. So where are you on that?
Well, part of it is Baltimore getting a taste of their own medicine because they fucked things up with the Joe Flacco contract.
2013, they fucked the whole league.
Yep.
That being said, everyone pretty much unanimously across the board realized that the Watson deal was a terrible contract. And even before that, Kirk Cousins got a shitload of guaranteed money, and everyone's like, this is going to fuck some things up. And then Watson got even more, and it's like, what the fuck? So I think that, I don't know if it's collusion for everyone to be like, this is a stupid-ass contract that this one team, and all it takes is one, right? All it takes is one to screw things up.
Forever.
So,
Jimmy Haslam's a fucking asshole. You're right.
but
on a number of levels.
I don't know if I would say that they're colluding with each other just because they all agree it was a stupid contract for the Browns to give out. That being said, for some of those teams to close the door on it that quickly surprised me a little bit.
It was.
But the other side of it is they were asked.
I think they were asked. I don't think they volunteered the information. I think they were asked.
Yeah.
By local media coverage to comment on the fact that Lamar had been tagged and that it was a non-exclusive tag, and were they going to look at him?
Yeah,
and they said no.
Yeah, none of the statements that were issued were like from the team handles. They usually came through some media. So,
but people are making it sound as though all of these teams volunteered this information to make sure that it was clear that they were not going to be involved in it. That was not the case. They were asked the question and they answered it.
Right.
And before that tag was ever laid out, they already knew what they were going to do. They were already thinking about it.
Sure. You have to anticipate that.
Yeah. If they didn't have an answer when that started, they wouldn't be doing their fucking jobs. If they didn't know 2 weeks before it happened what they were going to do.
Right. Because it was one of the options on the table.
And
I think the whole thing's overblown.
And the other thing is, too, for some of those teams, like let's take Oakland, for example, or Vegas, or wherever the hell they are now, the Raiders, right? They have the number 7 pick in the draft, 8 pick, whatever it is, top 10 pick, right?
Yeah.
Right now, if they go out and negotiate with Lamar and sign him to an offer sheet, they have to give up a top 10 pick. If they wait till after the draft and negotiate with him, and all of a sudden now it's still 2 first-round picks, but it's your 24 and 25 pick.
Right.
Those picks could wind up anywhere. Those could be, if the Raiders have a good year, they could be much later in the draft.
Yeah.
Good point.
So right now the teams, I think, are a little hesitant to kind of give up a known commodity of we know what pick we have in this draft. We don't know what we're going to have in next year's draft. So there's some of that too.
That's a good point.
One thing there's a variety of narratives that have been floating around social this week that people make up whatever narrative they want to.
No, really?
Yeah, that's convenient for them.
Get out.
But if you asked every team would they want Lamar Jackson at quarterback, every one of them would say yes. Let's be real. Every one of them would say yes. Even Andy Reid. So let's be real. Now, ask the same 32 teams, would you pay him that amount of money? And they're probably going to say no. So it's not Lamar's fault. It's not the Ravens' fault. Yeah, blame the fucking Browns because they suck. I
blame the Ravens. They started this shit.
Yeah, right. But it's more. But look at that's the other thing too. Look at what Daniel Jones just got. Look what Derek Carr just got.
Exactly,
and
man.
I think Derek Carr ain't even that bad. But I'm sitting there thinking God damn, this guy made that. This is what this guy's making.
Yeah. Derek Carr's not worth $37.5 million.
So 3 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now, Kenny Pickett realistically is probably going to make a decent amount of money, and he's not any good. So, I'm just saying, that's just the way it is.
That's the rate. No, and basically what you're talking about is the market.
Yes,
and this is the rate for a starting quarterback now. You're not going to get a guy for less than $40 million now. It is what it is.
So, do the Ravens? Are the Ravens looking at this from they don't want to pay the huge money, especially the guaranteed, or is there some element of we're concerned about his health and we're concerned about his ability to win playoff games?
I think it's a little of both. I think some of it's I think a lot of it's the guaranteed money.
I think it's all the guaranteed money.
Yeah,
because they offered him north of $50 million a year in the offer they gave him last year with $130 million guaranteed. Right. And he said no. He balked and just said, no, I want a fully guaranteed deal. He didn't even counter.
Right.
He just said, no, I want the whole thing fully guaranteed. Here's 5 years.
$130 million guaranteed. What the fuck are we talking about?
I know, right? How much fucking money do you actually fucking need?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm serious. $130 million to fucking throw a football and run around and avoid getting tackled.
But
what the fuck are we talking about?
You guys know this though. The agents are a big part of this too, because now that Watson's got this deal, the agents are not going to want their guy who is way more deserving when you look at Jackson
Then
versus Watson.
Yeah,
They paid all that guaranteed money for a predator too. Like what?
Well,
what are we
right.
doing?
I agree with you, Ryan, but it's water under the bridge. They paid.
I know the cat is out of the bag. We're long.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
so granted, Lamar doesn't have an agent, but if I was his agent, I'd be like, no way, man, you are not taking less than him.
I mean, Ben had
at the end of the day. Lamar Jackson has advisors. He has lawyers. He has a team of other people that are telling him what to do. He just doesn't have an NFLPA approved agent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I agree with Ryan. You should go to a professional. You should go to somebody who will take the 3% and do a good job for you and get you the maximum amount of money you possibly can earn and be talking to all 32 teams, burning the phone lines and making something happen. Because if he had that, it could be very well a deal on draft day where somebody looks at the draft and says, we're not going to be able to trade into one of these spots to get one of the guys we want.
And I wonder, too.
And let's get this guy instead. He's young. Let's pay him.
I am reminded the great attorney F. Lee Bailey once said, even I need a lawyer. Oh, yeah. He was the worst. But he was brought up on charges of contempt and everything else, and he showed up and he had a lawyer. And the judge was basically like, F. Lee Bailey, you have a lawyer. He said, hey, even I need representation, because I might miss things too. And that's, I think, the point that we're making with Lamar is, dude, get yourself an agent,
I'll ask this. I do wonder if teams are hesitant. Maybe let's just say what those teams said was real. They're not interested. I wonder if these teams are like, I mean, I'm happy to talk with Lamar, but like, does he literally have a realistic number?
Does he have a range?
So I want to sell my house and I don't have a real estate agent. It's a private sale. And I say, here's what I want for my house. And not one professional tells me that I'm way out of line or I'm lowballing or I'm coming, whatever. And it's just like, nobody's gonna fucking talk to me, whatever. And I mean, I'm not even saying that he's in the wrong, because I do think I joked about the 103rd earlier, but the guy definitely deserves, to be paid. But what does he actually think is his number versus what is a professional telling him what his number probably is?
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. I think there's probably two very, very different things right there.
I mean, is that agent going to get him more than 3%? Make up more than that 3%? That I think he probably is going to do that.
Yeah,
that's me. I mean, at the end of the day, unfortunately, the standard has been set, and the Browns did the fucking stupid contract. There is a standard now. Lamar is a far superior player, more accomplished than Deshaun Watson. Doesn't have all that fucking PR baggage hanging over his head either.
Nope.
He deserves that contract now. Will he get it? I don't know. But he deserves it. Yeah. There's no question in my mind. He absolutely does. And I agree with what Ian said before, and he and I have been talking about this for years. The Ravens fucked the rest of the league in 2013, 2012, actually, by not signing Joe Flacco to a deal, not paying him what he wanted. And so after they won the Super Bowl that year, he held their feet to the fire. And they've been paying outrageous contracts to quarterbacks ever since, because Joe Flacco was never good, much less elite. People saying that he was elite after he got that contract, I still laugh about that shit. People are fucking stupid. Recency bias over and over and over and over and over again. Oh, this guy's the greatest thing. No, he's not. He fucking sucks. He played 4 good games in the end of the season. He played 4 games in the playoffs. Big fucking deal. Before that, he sucked.
Looking back, the end of that 2012 season is what it did. That was it. He did literally it's sort of like now, sort of not their worst nightmare, but he was unbelievable in the playoffs. They won a Super Bowl.
Why was he unbelievable in the playoffs? Let's look at
that. Remember they got lucky against Denver.
No, it wasn't just they got lucky. Why was he unbelievable? They changed their offensive coordinator. So they changed their offense. He got fired. And they changed their offense at the end of the season. So people didn't have tape to be able to predict what they were going to do.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You know what? Let's get Flacco on the show.
I'm just telling you, that is exactly what the fuck happened. Defenses could not predict what they were going to do. They didn't have their tendencies down. They had no idea what to defend. And Flacco, he's an NFL quarterback. You give him an open receiver, guess what? He's going to hit him.
11 touchdowns and no picks in that 2012 postseason. I mean, it was. Yeah.
The dude was playing for a payday, man.
It wasn't just that. It wasn't just that. Again, he had the advantage of playing in that offense.
Yeah.
It's what I hoped was going to happen when Matt Canada was a first-year coordinator in Pittsburgh, and he was fucking terrible. Yes, I still fucking hate him.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to get to that. So, Ian.
Yes.
What is I don't want to say best. What's the most hilarious way this thing ends up?
Oh.
What thing? Oh, the
Lamar Jackson thing. How does this go truly into Shitsville?
New England offers him a massive contract because they pulled that shit with us and Emmanuel Sanders, right? We had Sanders on a
restricted free agent deal.
That's right, they did.
And they offered him like 1 year, $4 million, and we wound up having to pay him basically double what his
worth,
restricted tender would have been. Which I still don't know if we should have like taken the draft pick for that or whatever. It's over and done with. But at any rate,
we should have taken the draft pick.
Yeah, but at any rate, like New England's got a ton of cap space and a quarterback situation that's iffy at best. And if you want to compete with Josh Allen in that division, you need someone who can play better than Mac Jones. And to me, that's the most hilarious possible result, that New England offers him like $200 million guaranteed, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Baltimore either has to match it and hamstring themselves for 5 years, or he goes to New England. And
I'll give you a better scenario than that. No one offers him a sheet that he'll sign.
Okay.
He has to go to the Rats. He holds out, and he pulls a fucking Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, and sits out the whole
doesn't
year.
report. Doesn't report.
I don't think that's completely out of the.
I don't think it's out of the. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility either. I don't think that he is the same kind of person that Le'Veon was at that point.
No, I would agree with that.
But a little more mature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He'll probably keep himself in shape. For example, won't just expect to just show up and fucking ball out because he's Le'Veon Bell.
Hey, a pear is a shape too, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All of that.
All right, let's shift away from Ravens talk here. Free agency. I believe the legal tampering period starts Monday. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then they can actually sign guys.
The legal tampering period is fucking bullshit.
Right. It's hilarious. Starts on Wednesday. One of the things I'm very grateful for is that, Ben and Ian are both really, really good at the cap. And it is really
grateful for, but okay.
Well, because I'm not. But it's just funny to me. It's just funny to me the way people. Well, this is who we're going to re-sign, and this is who we're going to add in free agency.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, you just spent like $150 million.
Yeah. Well, people talk about things
right
in free agency strictly based upon performance.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at the market, and I think that is an area where, Ian and I are a little more realistic. One, we do the math. We see where they can actually spend and where they can't, where they can make room and where they can't. We understand. Fuck you, Johnny. We understand the fact that the Steelers will not restructure more deals than they have to, which is why they're always close to the cap. But it's also why they always have some deals they can restructure, and they've always got cap flexibility. Because they don't restructure the entire fucking team to make as much room as they possibly can.
Right.
Okay? Which some teams do.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they got to pay the piper. I'll tell you right now, the Browns are going to restructure Deshaun Watson's deal at least this year and maybe some other deals.
Right.
And next year, they are going to be an absolute fucking cap hell. And the year after that, it's going to be even worse. And Watson's contract is fully guaranteed. This team, they could go all in next year for 1 year and try and win a Super Bowl. And then after that, they're done. I mean, if they just want to like try and spend, they're talking about trying to target 5 different. Anyway, I'm talking about the Browns now. Let's talk about the Steelers. I know what you want to talk about is Cam Sutton, right?
Well, we'll get to those guys. I was just kind of, I guess, opening up with the fact that I think fans need to understand that this is not a blank check situation. Yes, they're going to restructure a few guys. I think TJ, Minka, I think, sort of open up some cap space, but it's just not a blank check. You can't just go get, Tremaine Edmonds, come play with your brother after we re-sign him too.
Yeah, guys.
It's not that easy.
The salary cap actually does exist. I know some people want to say it's a myth. It's not. It does exist. Okay. Right. It's not impossible to get over that hurdle, but it does exist. It is real.
Yeah.
You have to plan to make it work. And the Steelers are not an aggressive team when it comes to maximizing the cap. They're not. They're just not. That isn't the way they operate. They never have been. And it's probably because they're not a cash-rich team either.
That's also true.
They operate in a small market, and it is what it is, man. There are a lot of people that say that they're cheap. Fine. Obviously they didn't get great marks on their facility this year.
No, they
share that with a college team. Yeah. There were some things that were in that report card which wasn't glowing, that we all looked at and went, yeah, well, that shit's true based upon what we know. So yeah, okay, that's fair. Their stadium is not the best stadium. I'm sorry. I know people love it and they're like, yeah, why would they don't need a new stadium. If they want to remain competitive as far as revenues go, yes, they need a new stadium, and they need a bigger stadium that can host other events and host it year round. And so now we're talking about like $3 billion to build a stadium.
It's pretty much the going rate now.
With like a dome.
Yep.
So you can constantly have events in it. And I don't know if there's room for that on the north side.
To George's
parking lot next to the PG.
He said that Sutton is a must. Scarps, is Sutton an absolute must? Re-sign in your opinion?
I mean, it takes 2 to tango. Like we talked about agents earlier. If I'm Cam Sutton's agent, I'm gonna be like, dude, you've proven yourself. Like, don't just fucking re-sign here just to re-sign. Like, and I'm sure there's a bunch of Steelers fans out there right now that are listening to the show, being like, no, why would you want to play for Steelers? Is all that loyalty shit's dead? Show me the money. But well,
that's fair, Ryan, because they've got this limited window,
and that's the other thing too,
where they can make money. It's this long, and you can make as much money as you possibly can, and you got to do it.
Yes, and nobody knows more than Cam Sutton, right? Like, we don't know more. Like, he might know something. He might know that Kenny Pickett sucks, which I don't believe by any means, but he might know.
Well, he knows Matt Canada sucks.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, but that's the other side of the ball.
So that even
my dog knows that.
Even, so Terrell Edmonds' agent goes, "Hey, man, last year nobody really wanted you. Only the Steelers did. Now everybody wants you. Who cares? Like,
that's what happens.
He may be looking at it from the standpoint, and honestly, I don't think he is, but he may be looking at it from the standpoint that, like, Akella Witherspoon or Levi Wallace is going to overtake him, that these guys are really talented and they were just in unfortunate circumstances this year, and that leaving the team would be a better circumstance for him. And you are exactly right when you say that he understands all the facets of his situation far better than we do, on top of the fact that, yes, this is something he loves and it's a game, but it's also his profession, and he has a limited period of time, maybe a 10 to 12 year career where he can make as much money as he possibly can. And it's got to sustain his family for a period of time after that into the next generation.
Yeah.
And
so, it's tough. It's not as simple as, I want to play in Pittsburgh because I love Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's great. Everybody says they love Pittsburgh and the fans are the best in Pittsburgh. And I understand that. And I will agree with that and echo it. But It ain't that simple.
And also, Ian, I talked a lot today. Go ahead, but after this, but they already paid TJ Watt a ton of money. They already paid Minka Fitzpatrick a ton of money. Like they don't they can't just like that's like you said, like there is a cap and they have to understand that.
Yeah.
And as much as their philosophy has always been, we want to retain our own guys and then see what else. I think that it's just natural that there's going to come a point when they can't retain all the guys that they want because those guys have outperformed what the Steelers can actually pay them.
Where do you, Ian? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah,
but you're the other guy that actually understands this shit. Sorry, guys. No.
We're just the dumb fucks. I mean, like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah, I forget.
All right,
well, we accepted it a long time ago.
We actually look at it.
Yeah.
Where do you think he fits in that hierarchy? I mean, like, where do you think he gets paid? Like top 10, top 15?
Sutton?
Yeah.
I mean,
because
is he a top 15 corner in this league?
No.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't. No.
I think he's a very versatile player. I think he's a smart guy, but I don't think he's a top 15 cornerback.
Okay, so the 14th highest paid corner in the league is
I would say
Marius Ward at 13.5.
Yeah,
Dory Jackson's at 13.
I was gonna say around the like $7-ish million a year range.
I think that'd be a hell of a bargain if he wanted to sign for $7 million. I'd be like, fucking sign him for 5 years tomorrow. Hurry up.
Maybe a little more. I guess I was looking at like what Rasul Douglas signed for the Packers with, right? His was an average of about $7 a year.
I'm looking at Dante Jackson from the Panthers.
Yeah, that's a $12 million basically.
Yeah, 11.7 is about where I'd stick him. 12 million. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that they can afford to do that.
Right.
I don't know how exactly that fits. That's up to those guys to look at and, go, okay, here's where his cap would be. His hit would be here, here, and here, and plan that shit out. Obviously, his year one hit is simple. That's easy. It's always low. TJ's year one hit was low. It's always that way because they give him the big signing bonus and they sign him like a $1 million base. So it's like, you're looking at $8 or $9 million, which they can swallow.
Yeah.
So Sutton,
speaking of just money out the door, though, something I'm keeping an eye on here. Within the next 10 days, they have like $15 million that they owe to people in roster bonuses that are due within the first X number of days of the league year.
Yeah, but one of them is William Jackson III.
Yeah, William Jackson's getting cut. But like
100%.
Yeah. But Deontay
clean out your locker, dude.
Deontay's due $2.5 million. Chris Boswell's due another couple million. Chooks is due some, and Mason Cole's due some. So like, there's going to be either money going out the door with these, or they're going to renegotiate a couple of these contracts to convert some of these things into signing bonuses. And like, I would expect within the next 2 weeks, there's going to be, obviously they have to get under the cap for the start of the league year, but within the next couple of weeks, there's going to be quite a few of these, renegotiated.
They're only like 50 grand over right now. All they've really got to do is cut William Jackson.
Yeah, all they have to do to get under is cut Jackson for now.
Yeah, they don't pay his bonus and they cut his base salary, and they're done.
But they could also bring him back for like super cheap if they
like the vet minimum.
Yeah,
maybe if they wanted to do that. I don't know. It didn't seem like they were all that interested in keeping him around while he was on IR, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That kind of concerns me a little bit from the standpoint that it was like they traded for the guy, and in the end, they gave up nothing. Right?
Yeah.
But they traded for the guy. They got him in, took a look at him, and went, "Yeah, no, we don't want this guy." Didn't they?
It happens. It happens.
Yeah. It's almost like this. He failed a physical when he showed up, right? And so they were like, "Yeah, we're not interested." But usually that nullifies a trade.
Correct.
But maybe it didn't here because nothing was going to be given up. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say the trade was incentive based, that he had to play so many snaps in order for anything to even go back in return.
Right.
So, yeah, they were probably just like, we'll just keep him around and see if his body magically heals itself.
But then they had to pay him. It's like, why pay the guy just to squat? I mean, $3.1 million. They had to pay him to hang around for that period of time, and they got nothing.
Nothing.
And they're going to let him walk. Why wouldn't you just nullify the trade?
I think those are questions that need to be asked, and I
don't understand it. Is all. It's like, why the fuck would you do that?
So what is, real quick on Sutton, what is a number for each of you that would be the absolute max that you would pay him per year?
10,
12.
Ben, you'd go high as 12?
Yeah, I'd go 12 or 13 even, honestly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because corners now are $20 million a year.
Yeah, it's getting nuts.
I mean, it's not about my comfort level. It's what the team think. If it's, again, takes two to tango. I don't give a shit what they pay the guy, but if he wants to stay, if he wants to stay, he wants to stay. I just think Steelers fans need to be reasonable and understand that that whole, he'll take a hometown discount, even though he's not even from here. But like, it's just like, that's not how shit works anymore. So
right.
I mean, he's been open about the fact that he wants to stay, but that doesn't necessarily.
He's also a smart guy. Knows.
Yeah, no, and he's got an agent, as you pointed out before.
Yeah.
He's got an agent who's going, hey man, here's the deal. The reality is this: you have this period of time to make this kind of money. How old is
he also Is he also like besides Boz?
He's 28.
Besides Boz and Cam, he was drafted the same year as TJ. So Boz, Cam, TJ, and Cam Sutton. Those are the longest tenured Steelers.
Yeah, those are your veterans.
You got Cam, and Cam.
So there's something to be said with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a familiar face.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ian, who's next in line in terms of guys that you think have to be signed?
That's a good question.
They already re-signed the long snapper, so that's
we're good there. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of the show. Thank you so much.
Christian Kuntz has been re-signed, and Anthony Miller. So the really important signings have been done.
Yeah,
and Jameer Jones. I'm sorry, I forgot him.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't forget that one. So I mean, after Sutton, Edmonds. I really think it's Edmonds. Yeah, okay. Edmonds. For as critical as I've been of him over time on this show, I think he really proved his worth last year, and
he's proved his worth over the years. And I would say we've been way too hard on him.
Yeah, well, and it's the thing of if Edmonds had been a third round pick, we would love him, but because he was a first round pick, we were extra critical just because of the weight the first round pick puts on him, and because of what the Steelers said in the press conference afterwards, like, last safety we took was Troy Polamalu, and we have similar expectations. Like,
I forgot about that.
Why the fuck would you say it? It's like when they said they have a first round grade on Mason. Like, why the fuck would you say that? Right. At any rate,
why? Because we knew he sucked when they drafted him, and they wanted to convince us that he didn't.
No, why is because they
no, I don't
PR
know
people
why.
Advising.
No shit. They had better PR.
Yeah,
people.
The PR people told them to say that. That's what happened.
At any rate, I think it's Edmonds second.
Were you still there then, Ryan?
No, he was gone. That's why I said they needed better people. No, it's Edmonds second, but not far behind him is probably Larry Ogunjobi.
Okay, that's where I was going with that question.
I would sign Edmonds for longer than I would sign Ogunjobi for, because Ogunjobi's 29.
Where do you put Devin Bush in the hierarchy of free agents that must be re-signed?
So where my opinion of the Cleveland Browns, and then there's how I feel about the NFL top 100 list and how I feel about a player's Madden ratings. Dig down 1,000 more feet into the Earth's crust below that, And that's about where I would put re-signing Devin Bush.
Yeah,
Such a fucking disappointment.
Very,
4
very
years
much so.
after trading way the fuck up to draft his ass.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is why Jerry O got fired.
Yeah,
right there.
And it's also why Bobby Spillane will be a free agent priority.
Speaking of which, yes,
Well,
they
Bobby
are going to. Here's the thing: they're gonna re-sign Spillane. Spillane's going to be like their number one priority, which is stupid, but he's going to get re-signed.
I mean, I wouldn't say number one priority. It's going to be like, hey, we got this guy. He knows our system. It's going to be pretty easy to do a deal.
He knows our HVAC system.
I was just going to say,
yeah, he's not going to. Bobby Spillane's not going to have a market. So let's just go to him and go, hey, here's the offer. He's not going to turn it down. It's not going to be a negotiation. We're just going to go, here's the market. Here's the contract. And he's going to go, okay, yeah, great. I'll sign it. That's going to be the end of the conversation. When it's that easy, you just go ahead and you do it. It's something you can check off the list.
And the good thing about Spillane is that during the special teams period, the maintenance guy comes out and says, Bobby, our water heater broke, and he fucking changes that thing. It doesn't miss a practice rep.
Doesn't miss a snap at all. It's all good.
But only the water heaters break onto the Steelers side, because on the Pitt side, they're much nicer. God,
what a dick.
Bobby's like, get some balls pads and 3-in-1 oil. That'll take care of it.
Chris Wormley, guys.
Yeah.
What about him? Is that guy coming back?
Who?
No. If I had to pick a Michigan guy to bring back, I'd rather bring back Zach Gentry than Chris Wormley.
Oh, God, yes. Every day.
Well, my guess is Zach wants to come back. I think we've all admitted
keep doing videos
that he's done a tremendous job to improve himself as a player. He's a much better blocker. But at the same time, who knows? All it takes is one other team to say, hey, we're pretty interested.
Detroit.
Very possible.
Fucking assholes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously a lot of these free agent decisions are going to heavily impact the Steelers' draft strategy.
Yeah, they do every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
We start talking about who they're going to draft every year far too early.
Yep.
We start doing mock drafts in February.
Yep.
Based upon what we know. Mock drafts are dumb, by the way. I know. It's time for me to remind you that mock drafts are fucking
They generate
stupid.
clicks, man.
They're a waste of goddamn time.
Yeah, well.
So, getting back to my point, mock drafts were a cool thing when everybody did them like a day or two before the draft.
Oh, okay.
They were great.
Noted.
Right? They were great. That was fun. But when they started doing them in January, they became fucking stupid. And now there are mock drafts out for 2024 already.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the draft sites have already got mock drafts out for next year because, they got to get ahead of the curve. You got to have enough content out there about next year and the players that are coming. We're already scouting them.
That's just
Anyway, point being, the draft situation and priorities will all change after free agency. We all know that. I don't know why the fuck we waste time investing it in. Oh, they're going to take this guy and this guy, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do this. Now, when we don't even know what the fuck their priorities and their areas of need are going to be yet. We have no idea because we haven't gone through free agency. We don't know who we've lost and who we've gained.
The one thing I'll say to that is a slight caveat is there's been years where we have signed a guy in free agency and then also drafted that position in the first round of the draft.
Yes. Morgan Burnett.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't necessarily...
a number of guys. It wasn't just Morgan Burnett.
Yeah. The year we drafted Devin Bush, we signed somebody at inside linebacker too. So it doesn't necessarily preclude us from drafting that position either. But yeah, I mostly agree with Ben. I actually had one follow-up question. I'm stealing the hosting responsibility.
Go ahead, do it.
Go right ahead.
Why not? All right. So we talked about, what's your level of what you would pay Cam Sutton, right?
Right.
Who's obviously we need help in the secondary. Our cornerbacks were not good last year.
Right.
So, and obviously
just throw outside versus the Steelers. It's all good.
Yeah. Obviously every year there's guys that get cut that are under contract. So you can look at, here's the pending free agents and all that and say, we should sign this guy. But who's a guy that if he got cut, you would absolutely go sign him tomorrow?
If he got cut?
Well, or if he was available, let me put it that
James
way, right?
Bradbury.
Yeah, somebody
There are
who
a
was
lot of
available.
guys, but I mean,
Bradbury's a free agent, isn't he?
Yeah, Bradbury's
That's okay though, right?
Yeah.
It is.
That's the question I'm asking, right? Is who potentially could be on the market that you would be willing to go get, right? What cornerback would you pay money to? Because I always believe that you're better off signing corners in free agency than drafting.
The
Bradbury
evidence,
probably has too. He's probably going to get too much money, but I think James Bradbury's a good player.
I think he's a good player.
let's see.
Yeah, that's a good
Shaquille
answer.
Griffin is a guy that I would not mind them going after. I think that would be a fantastic choice. That's about it. Looking at the guys that actually are free agents right now.
Did you have somebody in mind, Ian?
No, I didn't. I was just kind of throwing it out there of like, that was how we got Joe Hayden, right? Was the Browns cut him and no one really expected them to.
Right.
So I was kind of looking at the list of like corners still on
and that's going to happen.
I was like, which of these guys would I actually want? Right. There's guys that are going to get cut.
And there's definitely people we have no idea that it's coming are going to get cut.
Yeah. Like, well, okay. And I guess the example I would use would be like Bradley Roby from the Saints, right? That if the Saints cut him, the Saints are way over the cap, and then they just signed Derek Carr, and they need to shave cap dollars, and they don't save a lot with Roby, but like, they also have Lattimore and all that. So, but like, would you actually want Bradley Roby? I don't know. Not for what he's making right now, but that's where I was kind of thinking was like, but if a guy gets cut, is there somebody out there that you're like, if this guy, like a Joe Hayden, right? If this guy hits the market, we should jump all over him. I mean, obviously we know who the best corners in the league are, but like,
there's not a guy right at the top of my head that I can think of.
Listen, let's just all after the show tweet. Let's just all after the show tweet Jalen Ramsey in a Steelers jersey. Let's say they're going to draft Jordan Addison at 32, Joey Porter Jr. at 17. Let's just get all the likes. Don't worry about it. Just get all the likes. Sell your soul for likes. Who gives a shit?
Oh, I do that.
I think that's pretty much what what Twitter brands are about. It's just getting as many fucking likes as you possibly can. It's about delusional level homerism or really horrible, awful fucking takes about how everything sucks and the sky is falling and we should fire Tomlin and Art Rooney should sell the team because he fucking sucks too. So it's extremes, right?
I think
we've become fuck you, Mark. God damn. Don't put that shit out in the universe, dick. We've become a society of extremes. So we can't see any of the fucking gray area anymore. It's either all sunshine and rainbows and lollipops, or it's all doom and gloom and fucking storms and everything sucks and fuck this guy and fuck that. Then there's no fucking gray area. None. Nobody endeavors to understand anything. It's all about where my emotions are today.
I would agree. And think
social media is one of the greatest things that ever happened and one of the worst things that ever happened to us ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like to think that's why people come here, because we're honest, but honest also means in good and bad ways. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but it's not all bad either.
We haven't made fun of Steelers Facebook in a while, but
holy
shit. If you want to see some horrible fucking takes,
right.
Check out Steelers Facebook on any day.
Like 8-year-olds getting a hold of their parents' Facebook.
Oh my fucking God.
Is Casey Kasem ready to roll with tonight's top 40?
He's around.
He's around.
Really? 8?
Could somebody please dig up Casey Kasem?
He's here. He's here. Casey's Coast to Coast American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was March 9th, 1978. Ryan from Pittsburgh writes, Dear Casey, earlier this week, we lost Leonard Skinner, guitarist, and founding member Gary Washington. He was the last living member of the band that played on their debut album, pronounced Leonard Skinner. If I leave here tomorrow, Casey, would you still remember me? Casey, I'm not sure you know this, but Leonard Skinner was, in fact, a real person. Leonard Skinner was a gym teacher at Robert E. Lee High School in Jacksonville, Florida, and he taught many of the band members all there is to know about physical education. That's pretty cool that they named their gym teacher after... Sorry, that's pretty cool they named their rock band after their gym teacher. For those listening, please do not, I repeat, do not name your rock band after Steelers offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Could you imagine how bad that band would be? They'd have maybe 10 songs tops. They'd play the same songs over and over again. Even if they played the songs in different order, the audience would probably know what's likely to come.
And they'd all sound the same.
Predictable, boring, never scores, and I'm not talking about my high school career. To be fair, Matt Canada wouldn't be the worst band. After all, there's U2.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of U2, while I was driving to work this morning, Desire came on the radio, and I immediately changed the channel. However, it got me thinking, who do the Steelers desire to pick at number 17? Desire is one thing. Unwanted is another.
Oh.
For example, I desire the likes of anyone that has no affiliation with the Steelers.
Huh?
If your dad... Sorry. If your dad played for the Steelers, if your former college teammate is now available, if you got a scholarship because someone currently on the Steelers coaching staff was feeling generous, or if your cousin Randy from Blawnox, a huge Steelers fan I might add, told you who his favorite prospect was, I want nothing to do with you. Casey, there are so many different potential prospects, so many different faces. I have to ask, what's your name? Well, Ryan, first of all, thanks for dressing up for the occasion. Nice sweater. If I have to see you in that blue Reebok hoodie one more time, I might puke. That's the task. I see what you did there. You went full circle. In honor of the late Gary Washington, here's a Skinner tune for you. Up 2 spots this week off their album Street Survivors. At number 13, here's What's Your Name?
Do you remember when the Ravens threw a fit about the Steelers playing that song?
What's your name?
Yeah.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yes,
Because they
played it
because Harbaugh,
Yes.
John fucking Harbaugh, thought that the Steelers were making fun of Joe Flacco.
Yes, he did. Because
You know what
like,
Joe
what's your
Flacco
name,
said
pretty
when they
girl?
asked him about
Yes.
it? He said, "They played a song."
Yeah, they
Yeah, I
they
guess
played it
so.
like during a commercial break, and after the game, Harbaugh was like, "I can't believe they dissed our quarterback by calling him little girl by playing that song because it's like what's your name, little girl
Right.
or whatever." Yeah, but the Harbaugh like threw a hissy fit about that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Now here's a guy that doesn't get a joke.
And Flacco didn't even notice.
Yeah,
Harbaughs have never gotten the joke.
Oh man,
that was wonderful, right? That was really
I
good.
gotta
Well
get
done.
back to actually typing it up and printing it because it's harder to read on the
Was it
phone.
on your phone?
Yeah, I
That was pretty
typed,
impressive.
I
Yeah,
typed it and emailed it to myself, but
that's good. That's good.
Wow. Yeah, I actually kind of like it when you got it on a piece of paper and you wad it up and
Thank
throw it
you.
away.
all right, I gotta get
Yeah.
back to it. I didn't have
a
a
little-
print.
Kind of like Letterman.
It's a nice touch. Exactly, it's Letterman.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And we are. Yeah. Anyway,
Also,
hey, we'll,
let's not forget that Randy from Blawnox is a much better draft analyst than that homeless guy that told Jimmy Haslam to draft Johnny Manziel.
Listen, I once responded to an ad on Craigslist for a PlayStation 3 at the Banksville Eaton Park. Okay.
I've been to that Eaton Park.
Here's
You know,
he
I
handed
gotta
me
say,
a PlayStation
I don't understand
3.
why Eaton Park has the following it has in Pittsburgh. That place sucks.
Don't be like that. It is
No, it's terrible. I am
It's
sorry.
an iconic establishment.
It is fucking terrible.
Right up there with Donnie Iris, isn't it?
family-oriented. You're
It's
rude.
beyond overrated. It's disgusting. It's not even like mediocre. It's not good. Sorry.
You know what? Can I
when
come
you
on
want
Portland and
breakfast
find
food at 3:00 in the morning?
When you're drunk, I'm sure it's delicious.
Right.
You know, there are places here I've been to that were fantastic that I waited in line to get. There's actually a place called the Hot Cake House on Powell that I waited in line for many years over and over again to get food at like 3:00 in the morning because I was drunk. And then I ate there sober once. And it ruined it for me. And I've never eaten there again since.
Big mistake.
It was fucking disgusting.
Yep.
And I was like, I waited in line for this shit. Seriously, I did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Been there.
Oh wow, this is fucked up. I'm never.
Okay, guys, check out the site steelcityblitz.com. We've got the draft previews rolling off the presses, amongst other things. Ian's got some NCAA hoop stuff, his bracketology going, and he'll be doing his selections.
Fucking
Wildcats. Selection Sunday comes up this week.
They won tonight.
So check that
They
out.
lost last night.
Thank you to everybody, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at SCB_podcast, and of course at SC Blitz, and Facebook, Instagram, all that other wonderful stuff. And we will return next week. We'll just keep on diving into the draft, and yes, we'll have a mock draft at some point as well. So for these gents, this is Steel Dad signing off on the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers!
Ravens suck.